All in masks. Huh? All in masks.
I'm going to have allergies. The Four Seasons.
Oh, man, that's funny. All right. That was fun.
Yeah.
All right, Stephen. Welcome to your show.
Welcome back, Gideon. How are you, man? Every time I hear the Four Seasons, I feel like I'm on hold, like waiting for like some sort of online or telemarketer or something, you know? That is the go-to piece that they use for putting you on hold for endless amounts of time, you know?
I kind of have this thing that I love all of the cliched classical works. Despite my, high-level terminal degree in music, I love Carmen. I love Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. I love the Four Seasons. I love the Moonlight Sonata. I like the other ones too, but I love the big works except for Bohème. I hate Bohème.
Bite your tongue. Why
I'll do it every day. I don't know. I'll do it every day, 3 times. Marcello, Schernander, whichever one you want. But I hate it. I'm over it. I know it's your bread and butter too. So.
But but not just that. That's probably why everyone loves those pieces, because they're so great. I'll never get tired of hearing like a Beethoven's 9, a Beethoven 5, Dvorak 9, all these like top 10s. I'll never get tired of it. Anyways, how are you, man? How are you? It's been a week. We haven't really been in touch much this week. We've both been pretty busy.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, I'm still basking in my post-thesis glow.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, and how about you?
I'm good. Went on a great camping trip this weekend. I have to tell you, all you people out there looking for a great socially distant vacation, go camping. Camping is fucking incredible. Went out, nothing better than 4 guys eating off a grill outside around the fire. Went out with my cousin Brian and a couple of our buddies, and had a really great time, man. Not to mention, there's no one around for miles. So, what do you do? What are you drinking this week?
I went back to my Buffalo Trace for this week. I stray for a little bit, and then I have to go back to what I know. It's not the kosher one; it's the regular Buffalo Trace. I'm a big fan. I'm just a big fan. I love it. I love that whole distillery, everything they do. L'chaim. How about you?
I'm still doing the keto, right? So my wife came up and found these Corona hard seltzers with 0 carbs. 0 carbs. Yeah. So however, it doesn't hurt you, but it doesn't help you, because supposedly your body's just burning off the alcohol at that point and not really burning off the fat as it should be doing. But it's better than nothing, right? It's better than not quite a beer, but it's all right. So what's been going on lately? What's been going on in the news? Anything good? What's
Yeah. I mean, it depends which one. How do you want to tackle this? This was a fun story. So remember last week we were talking about the CUOMO chips. Remember we were talking about CUOMO chips? So for people who don't know, our governor decided that you can't just stand around and drink. You can't do that. It's not good because it's spreading COVID, supposedly, right? So he made a requirement. He signed an executive order that you have to order food, right? So to get around this, the establishments were selling CUOMO chips, they called it, which was basically just like a handful of potato chips for $1. So people can say that that's, that I did it, right? However, CUOMO was not happy when he found out about this. So CUOMO, let's see if I can find this story now. CUOMO decided that it is not enough food to just order a thing worth of potato chips, right? I can't even find the story now. I said I wanted to start with the story, and now I can't find it. Okay, here we go. Found this story. So he said, very controversially, that chicken wings are not an acceptable food. Okay? That's right. Andrew Cuomo says, chicken wings, you are not real food, okay? And he goes on this bizarre rant about what foods are substantive and what you can have and what you can't. He says to be a bar, you had to have food available, soups, sandwiches, more than just hors d'oeuvres, chicken. Hey, this is the first time I'm doing my Cuomo. It's pretty good. More than just hors d'oeuvres, chicken wings, you had to have some substantive food. This is an exact quote right now. The lowest level of substantive food you can have was sandwiches.
unbelievable, man.
Yeah, so he got mad. He got really, really mad. Cuomo got really, really mad. Is this like the Trumpiest thing that Trump didn't actually do? Like to get mad and then, like throw a fit in front of everybody and then like demand that you have to have like a certain amount of food?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, you tell bars you can't be open because of the pandemic and we're trying to shut down the city. And when they were just bars to begin with and all they sold were drinks. And then you're telling them that they can't reopen and then they can reopen. And now you can't reopen unless you're actually now a full service restaurant. You're no longer a bar. You have to start serving food. So then it's crazy. Pretty soon they're going to be like, well, you're going to have 2-ply. You can't have standard toilet paper. And it's like, where does it stop, man? Where does it stop? And why doesn't he address like not just the things that are open, but when everyone else is going to go back to work, man? I'm dying here. I got to go back.
We're in the middle of phase 4. We're supposedly in the middle of phase 4, right?
Yeah, but phase 4 in the pandemic in the beginning was us going back to work. But now it's like they're just numbers at this point.
No, they are just numbers. So this was a story. So have you heard about these COVID parties, Stephen? Have you heard about these things where like supposedly people are getting all together, young people are getting together and, taking bets to see who can get COVID first. Like they're trying to spread it in a party. Well, it's not real. At least they can't find any evidence of this. They did a whole investigation. The New York Times completely changed its story. And it turns out to be, as Michael Brendan Doherty here says, an urban legend. They totally ran with the story, and there's really like nothing for it. I think these should go under our COVIDIOTS section.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. What really is a COVID party? Pretty much in a pandemic where you can't actually see the virus. Doesn't any party just mean a COVID party? Like any party you go to, there is a slight chance that you're going to get COVID. I mean, is it like, were they like saying that they invited people that actually had COVID and they were trying to spread the virus? Or was it they're just saying they were having large gatherings and trying to see who got COVID? I never quite understood it, but I just assumed that anytime you had a party, there was a risk of catching COVID. Even in a mandate of 10 people or less, there's a risk of you getting COVID.
Right, but the idea here is that they were throwing parties to make it happen. As Steve Costello here says, ask the Marlins. Of course, I was disappointed because over a dozen Marlins, they say, just tested positive for COVID, and they had to postpone your Phillies and my Yankees, your home opener tonight. They had to postpone that just before this show started, actually, believe it or not. That's what happened.
Absolutely. And have you seen the headline? It's like after the game with after the Phillies, the Marlins have come down. Like they worded it to make it seem like it was Philadelphia's fault. I'll read the.
Did they do that? How come nobody on Philly tested positive?
I'll read the tweet that my cousin John sent me today, and it said, breaking, Major League Baseball to hold an emergency meeting today after 14 Miami Marlins have tested positive for COVID-19 following their weekend series with the Philadelphia Phillies. As if it's the Phillies' fault.
Yes, it is. It is the Phillies' fault.
It's not. Philadelphia is awesome. It's the greatest city in the world, and people are just jealous. So what are they going to do? They're going to try to bring us down. They need to shut the fuck up and realize.
Well, you know what? I'm really glad though that baseball is back, and with baseball being back, of course, comes very, very, very exciting first pitches. That's right, first pitches, and none other than your favorite person in the whole wide world, Stephen, Dr. Anthony Fauci, was asked to throw out the first pitch in the Nationals game versus the Yankees in the home opener, which they lost to my New York Yankees. And how do you think that went? Let's take a look at how we think this first pitch went. Are we ready for this? Here we go. Okay, here comes Fauci. Wow, look at this. Wow, he looks great in the uniform, huh?
Does look good in the uniform. Look at him. Look at, he's got the mask, he's got the hat, he's got the whole thing. He looks confident. Wait.
Oh.
Wait. Go back to the walk. Go back to the walk. Go back to him walking out again. Look at that.
Okay. Let's here we go. Okay. Go back to the walk. Wait. Here we go. There it is.
Well, look how confident he is. He's like, it's like he's going to, go into the mouth. Somebody should have coached him. Somebody should have been like, look, you're throwing out the first pitch.
I think they did coach him. But you know what? The best tweet that I ever saw in response to this was, you got to hand it to Fauci. At least he's consistent. He doesn't want anyone to catch anything. Which, I mean, I thought that was the best thing that I'd ever heard.
How many people do you think justified not wearing masks by Fauci throwing that terrible first pitch? By saying, oh, God, he can't even throw a baseball, and he's the one telling us to wear masks.
Well, actually, funny you should mention that because, well, America's doctor got himself into a little bit of trouble afterwards. That's right, Dr. Fauci, who enjoys a very high approval rating. Yes, that's right. He was found he was caught rather. They have photos of him without his mask during the game. That's right. He was sitting next to his wife and his friend, and he got caught without his mask. Steven, is Dr. Fauci a giant fucking hypocrite? What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, look, if you're going to let's be honest. If you're going to condemn people for not wearing masks, you got to wear one yourself, right? I don't wear my mask when there's no one around, but I wear them every time I'm around people, and I wear them if like I'm going to run into someone. He's setting the precedent for masks and COVID, right? So if he wants to lead by example, like they want the president to do. Lead, if you're going to want us to do something, lead by example. So I feel like, you know what? Yeah, he is a hypocrite. And you know what else bothered me more than the mask is that that he sat there and watched the game. The average American people aren't allowed to watch the game. No spectators allowed in the stand. So why is one more privileged than the other? Why can he watch the game and we can't?
Well, I mean, so you don't think he was there by himself, or rather with two people who had just been tested right beforehand? He says he just took it down to have a drink of water. But you don't think that's okay? You think it's
because he wasn't drinking water in the video with his mask down. He was sitting there watching the game.
So funny you say, things for thee, but not for me. Yikes. That's right. Christina Cuomo. That's right. Sister-in-law of our great governor and wife of Chris Cuomo decided that she was going to put on a little yoga session in the middle of Jimmy Choo's retail store in the Hamptons while hawking her products. Here's the problem. Yep. The problem is they're not allowed. People aren't allowed to be in stores. She's there, not socially distanced, no mask, and she gets to be in a store hawking her products on her Instagram. Steven, this is hypocrisy.
Absolutely. Again, not fair. If I'm not allowed to even enter a store without a mask, as I shouldn't be, she shouldn't be able to get away with that kind of shit. Again, if you're going to lead, and that's like the whole thing, if you're going to be in a family that's in the spotlight like that, if you're going to be in a family that's running a government, you got to follow the rules, man. You can't make up one set of rules for your family and one set of rules for everyone else. You can't do that. You can't just. It's the same thing. It's like when a cop's family gets pulled over and they don't get a ticket for speeding because their parent's a cop. You shouldn't be able to do that either.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right. I think it's pretty lame. It's pretty lame that she did that. Speaking of masks, the mask of the future looks like this. I know we should call up resident sex doll expert Quinn Kelsey for that particular photo, but this is the new mask that they say is reusable. Of course, the N95 masks they feel are not as reusable, but it uses that filter that they have tons of, but it's silicone, and it goes over the face. What do you think?
I can't see. It looks like the nose is open and not covered, and it also looks like they're wearing a maxi pad across their mouth. So I don't know if I like that mask at all. I feel like we should just go back to a regular mask. Go back to the fucking doctor masks. That looks ridiculous. It looks like he's going to play some kind of like a space.
Well, it's got glasses too. The plastic glasses on top of it.
Yeah, it looks like you're going to play like some sort of like a space racquetball game of some proportion. It's awful. It's awful. Go back to the workshop. Redesign something else.
go back to the workshop. Let's talk about the guests for a second here that are coming up soon, Stephen.
Are they are they here yet? Are they not?
No,
here
not yet. They're not here yet. But I want you to talk about it for a second while I load this next thing up here.
All right. So our guests today, Ray and Sean, they're the founders of an app called Your Resonance, and what it is an app, kind of like along the lines of the Airbnb app for teachers and career advice, whatever you want to do. So what happens is an artist, instrumentalist, a vocalist, a teacher, a coach can sign up onto this app, and you're able to scroll down and find all the providers of lessons, coachings, you name it, and you're able to book them via this app. And you book them, it sets up a time slot for you, and you actually, when it's your turn, you log onto the app and you do it as we're talking right now. You have a session. You don't have to talk about money. You don't have to talk about what it is you do. It's all listed on the app. It's all very clear, and they'll explain it a lot more. They'll do a better job than I'm doing. I just started it personally for the past week, and I just had my first session today. So it'll be a good conversation because they know so much more about it than I do, and they'll be great at explaining it.
Well, that's great. That was one of the innovations that came out during this pandemic, among other things. And we noticed, like as we talked to, like I said, Mr. Quinn Kelsey, about the surge in sex doll purchases. There's also been, very nice, a surge in spending on musical instruments. So this is encouraging for all of us. The musical instrument sales are up big. They say up 80% in the UK alone. I think this is great news. You have time, you're at home, buy a piano. And it includes pianos too. I
think it's great news. I just don't think artists are buying them because none of us are making money. So who's buying these pianos?
But it still encourages interest in the art form then.
Absolutely.
They buy a violin, then they want to see more. You know what I mean? This is, I think
Absolutely.
it all goes together.
I think it's awesome. And if anyone wants to buy us a piano for our show, you're more than welcome to do that. Just contact us via one of these links. And
yeah, we should get a piano sponsor. I think that'd be a good one. Piano and bourbon. I think that'd be a good one.
Neither of us really play the piano.
I mean, yeah, we try. Speaking of musical research, this was actually an interesting story that I'd never heard, and of one of my favorite composers. And that is Beethoven's dear friend, George Bridgetower. And what is of note is that George Bridgetower is described here as Afro-European. That's right. One of his favorite violin virtuosos was black. George Bridgetower, born in 1778. And Beethoven apparently dedicated originally one of his sonatas to this man. However, it says here very ominously in a letter, if I can find this thing, it says here, essentially, there are two sad codas to the story. He made an off-color remark about a lady that Beethoven knew, and Beethoven was furious. Do you think, Stephen, that George Bridgetower said that Beethoven's girlfriend's ass was fat?
I sure hope so.
I mean, this is kind of an interesting story. Like we almost never hear about stuff like this.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure. How did they get to it? Was it some sort of letter that Beethoven had written?
Yeah, there were letters. They knew it says he'd known to music lovers. He was a known thing, and he was connected. And Beethoven's friend, a violinist, but sadly he could not get over whatever slight was.
Maybe that was the inspiration to the first couple notes of the Fifth Symphony. You know, bum bum bum. Bum. Maybe he was just angry.
Maybe he was.
You always thought he thought he was angry about his life and being deaf, but it turns out it was because he made a quote about the ass of his girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean that's to be clear. I don't want to lose any of my musicology and my doctoral expertise. That is pure speculation. I don't have any evidence that George Bridgetower referred to Beethoven's girlfriend's ass as fat. But that is
I was under
my own
I was under the assumption you read that in the Grove Music Encyclopedia.
In Oxford. So how about some 80s stuff? Do you remember the movie Fletch? based on all the books.
Barely. I just remember the Chevy Chase stories.
Yes, that's it. And John Hamm is going to be Fletch in the reboot.
Yeah, it makes sense.
What do you think? Yeah, I mean, what do you mean by that?
I don't know. If you read or believe the Hollywood Insider things, you just realize that they're both dicks. So that's why that's why they care.
Oh,
I don't know, but I like to read gossip magazines, and that's one of them. So.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, so I thought that my brother's a huge fan of the whole series, and this was the big story of the week. Actually, the big non-COVID, sociocultural story of the week, and that is that. This is always hard when I do the story so fast. UFOs no longer in the shadows. Pentagon's UFO unit will make some findings public. So apparently there was a division to investigate unidentified flying objects. Now, it's being couched initially as to say we wanted to be sure that the Russians and the Chinese aren't developing any sort of special technology that are against us. However, this man here, who claims to have headed the division, this guy Luis Elizondo, he says the express purpose was to find alien shit and talk about it, and he says they did. Stephen, we have government confirmation of UFOs? Uh-oh, Stephen is stuck. That's all right. Yes, so that apparently is the story here. But there was another story that said that he was kind of a fraud, actually. That makes me kind of sad. Stephen is stuck, unfortunately. We'll get him back in a second here. I'm going solo now. Stephen. Anyway, so I'm gonna go solo till Stephen gets back here, and then I will find him. This has never happened before, live TV. So I hope you enjoy my pontification with my Buffalo Trace here. So this is there he is.
There we go. Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
What happened? My internet, it stopped.
Okay, that's all right. I was about to go on a rant. We probably lost all the viewers, but go.
Maybe it was the government. Maybe they don't want us talking about UFOs. Maybe they're hacking into our signal. I'm telling you, man, I think UFOs has existed for years now. I mean, E.T., documentary. Independence Day, documentary. These are all things that we need to be preparing for. Everything else is happening. Look at 2020, man. Nothing will surprise me at this point.
Nothing. I mean, well, that goes without saying that nothing will surprise us. We also have, where's this story here? I have so many stories that I can't find. Okay, I'm just going to go into this. I was going to wait for the guys for this one, but this is honestly my favorite story of the week. And that is that NBA superstar Lou Williams, drafted by your 76ers, got excused to leave of course, the NBA is in a bubble right now. That's how they're handling COVID, that they're all handling in a bubble. He got excused from the bubble to attend a funeral, which is nice. However, Lou Williams got caught. That's right. After the funeral, he decided to go to a strip club with his friend Jack Harlow. Right, there's Jack Harlow posting the story on Instagram. They were in it's called Magic City, which features some scantily clad dancers. I don't know if it technically counts as a strip club. I'm not saying that derisively. However, that's what it was. At first, Jack Harlow says, no, this is an old photo. The problem in this photo is that Williams is wearing his NBA-issued COVID mask.
Oh,
Steven,
no.
Former Sixer, the SEXth Man of the year.
Oh, no, man. Oh, shit. How do you do that? How do you, oh, man. I don't know. I guess I can understand how you do it, but how can you lie about it when the evidence is right there? I mean, you're wearing a mask.
Yeah, it's so bad. That was so bad.
That just speaks for itself, man. That just really speaks for itself. But the COVID count is slightly lower than the MLB at the moment, so I guess he's still okay.
That's true. This was a fun story also. For me, it's fun because I think the media is kind of smug. Anyway, Nick Sandmann. Do you remember this kid? Do you remember this kid about a year and change ago?
Absolutely.
Nick Sandmann and the Washington Post settled. Now, of course, the story behind this one was that Nick Sandmann from Covington Catholic, you see they're all there wearing their MAGA hats. This man, I think Phillips is his last name, is a Native American elder. And the story, they just caught this image and this video, and the media believed that these kids, these Catholic school kids wearing their MAGA hats, surrounded this Native American elder and intimidated him. Of course, that wasn't the story. They were sitting there waiting for the bus, and Phillips, the Native American elder, entered the group, banging the drum. They were being shouted down by a hate group across the mall as well. This poor kid's face at 15 or 16 was plastered everywhere, and he has sued CNN, which settled out of court. He's sued Washington Post, which is now settled out of court. I kind of love this story. Everyone assumed something, the media jumped on it, and now they got panned. Now, he didn't get the $250 million he initially asked for, but I kind of love that they're spanked down, because that could be any one of us. You know, that could be anyone here. They catch you in a quick image. They blast it online. People jump to a conclusion. You get skewered. You get doxxed. You get,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's like, do you remember when the pandemic first started to happen, and you're seeing these pictures of New York and people without masks, and they were pictures from like last season, or the picture that they posted of Ocean City, New Jersey. I think it was on a Memorial Day, but it was a picture that was from 2 years ago, because if you look in the background, you could see the billboard with a date on it from 2 years ago. I mean, it's amazing, and it's amazing that they do these things, and then you wonder why people question the media, and they don't always believe it, and they don't trust it. I mean, the media used to be the trust zone. Like you used to rely on the media. You used to rely on papers like New York Times, Washington Post, that would always, have like fact checked again, and you could rely on them for the story, for the truth, and for accuracy. And
you dropped shit.
I did. See how excited I got right there? I'm knocking shit over in my kitchen here.
So, you know how my cousin used to come up with the best nicknames ever, and it was so annoying. To this day, I refer to my sister by the nickname that my cousin gave her 25 years ago. Now, you know how our president comes out with nicknames for people? Mini Mike Bloomberg, right? You got Sleepy Joe Biden. Some of these are funny and stupid, however you want to feel about them. Well, fear not, because Nancy Pelosi unveiled her nickname for President Trump. All right, are you ready for this one? That's right. Nancy Pelosi is now going to be calling Trump Mr. Make Matters Worse. That's right. Nancy Pelosi unveils the shittiest nickname I have ever heard in my life. That name sucks, dude. And it's not about liking Trump or hating him. That name sucks.
Yeah, it's like I feel like you do go by Trump, like give them nicknames that are not 100% true. So she should make up a nickname about Trump that's not 100% true. I mean, it just sucks. Like, doesn't she have people? Doesn't she pay people to work for her to tell her, like, maybe you shouldn't say that, maybe you shouldn't do this? Like, maybe this nickname is better. I'm sure she could have asked any fifth grader for a name, and they would have given her a better one.
That name sucks so bad. Like, you know what I said? I said during the election, if you really maybe it's a Jersey thing. How you doing? But just call him Dickhead Donald or something like that. Something that kind of snaps. But Mr. Make Matters Worse,
or call him Mrs. Epstein's great. Call her Mrs. Epstein.
yeah, something like that. Anyway, that name sucks. Anyway, our guests are here. Do you want to introduce them?
All right, we kind of did introduce them, so let's introduce them again.
All right, we're going to add them. So this is my good buddy, who I didn't realize was the one joining the show today, my Parpignol, Mr. Raymond Geis. How you doing, Ray? And then, of course, his partner, Mr. Sean
Christensen, the founders of Resonance. How are you guys?
Hey.
So let's talk about this a minute, because before I'm on the app. I love it. I used it today for the first time. We'll get into that. But you guys, both fellow
I'm
singers.
losing you. Give me just a second. It's not,
of course.
Your audio's
No.
not coming.
Okay.
1 second. I'll rejoin.
Okay.
The app people having trouble with connection.
Yeah, oh, it's rough.
Oh God,
We're all
Mark
trying to tell us
Zuckerberg wouldn't
about
let that happen.
Tell us about the app, Sean.
All right, so Sean, talk to us about the app. Tell us about how you guys came from being singers, being in the industry, to developing an app. Because I mean, most singers cannot do that.
Well, it was a really long journey, and it really started with us looking at our own careers and basically what we felt was missing. Ray and I are both tenors, right, and we're both singers, and we had
Don't hold that against us,
Yeah.
Gideon.
we had a pretty good couple of years where we were working professionally, but we never really had access to any kind of platform, a set of tools that would allow us to manage our own business, because we are business owners, right, of our own brand, of our own product. And we never really had a product that allowed us to do that better, to streamline the process from start to finish. Most people in our industry, they use Facebook, they use Instagram to promote themselves. And then the rest is just kind of put together between like a scheduling app, or they use PayPal, or they use some variety of services just to get the job done, just to get their normal day-to-day business transactions done. So all that to say, we looked at the market, and we looked at what was out there, and we didn't really see anything that fit the bill that could help us, that could help our colleagues, help our friends, help the greater creative economy, achieve more legitimacy, a better grasp of their own careers, of their own business, and also grow the opportunities out there. Right? There isn't really anything in our market like a LinkedIn, like an Airbnb, whatever you want to call it. Every other industry has that app, right, or that product that just makes your life so much easier, lets you connect much better.
And let's be real, most people don't just make their living being opera singers, right? What they do is they work as a church singer, they work as a pianist, they work as a whatever, to make multiple sources of income. And how do you display that in today's day and age? There's just no good way to do it. But that's how you make your money most of the time. Not everyone's a Stephen Costello, where they can just sing everywhere over the world. But even so, when you were starting out, I'm sure that you had multiple sources of income that you did to make money. And so he said, let's make an app that reflects what we actually do day to day. So you don't just have to be a teacher. You can also be a performer, a church sub, these kinds of things. And it's not limited to just the operatic world. You can do it with anything that you do in the creative sphere for work.
But you guys also made it easy to get in touch with people that you might normally not be able to get in touch with. Like, for instance, I'm on it myself. Michael Fabiano is on it, and Nadine Sierra is on it. Isabel Leonard is on it. Just to name a few. I mean, and these are people that I'm sure other singers have looked up to and are considered role models for certain people. And now, at the touch of this app, they can just go on, book a session, and either have career advice, coaching, a lesson, whatever it is they offer. You're having one-on-one time for at least an hour, 2 hours, however long you book, with these people. Was it easy to shop this around to other singers? Because when you start the app, you need people to make it work. I mean, the app by itself does nothing, but you need people to actually join the app to offer services on it. Was it hard to convince people to do it? Did they feel like a sense of privacy? They were losing a sense of privacy, or did they enjoy it?
Boy, it's been really overwhelming. And since we've launched, we have almost 2,000 users on the platform. So we've obviously struck some kind of nerve with the people. I think that the big thing is the fact that, I would have killed to be able to work with an idol of mine back in the day. I mean, if I could have worked with Piotr Bacala or Michael or Steven and asked them, how are you guys doing this? How are you doing this? I would have paid pretty much any sum to be able to do that. Now, we're also in a really interesting moment where a lot of artists have lost work. They don't know what to do with their time in a lot of ways. They had this track, and now, they have a new way to engage with their fans. And our app, I think, is a great way to do that. it's difficult to have that direct access in an easy way. And especially for a featured professional like you are, Stephen, you know, to be able to just get booked and say, who is this person? Oh, I can look at their profile. I can see what they've done. I can look at their experience. I can see some videos, get an idea of who they are, and then accept it, get paid by them really easily. I think that it's not hard to sell that to people. I think the biggest thing to sell to them is that, you know, hey, this is a new platform built for you. It's not LinkedIn. It's not Facebook. It's something for the creative economy. And most people are like, what is this? You know, when we were first talking about what is this exactly? So it's like a teaching platform. That's it. No, it's more. You can show yourself off who you really are, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I used it for the first time today, and I have to say, I really enjoyed it. What I enjoyed the most about it is that awkward conversation that you have with people about lesson charges or coaching charges or whatever it is your fee is. You have that awkward conversation. This gets kind of around that because it's on the platform. People see what it is. People see that how much you charge, whether it's $10 an hour or $1,000 an hour, whatever it may be. They see what you charge and they book it. And then you don't have to worry about, you know, making sure that you're paid at the end of the thing as the person offering the service anyway. You don't have to make sure you're paid because it seems that you lock the money in before the lesson starts. Is it that they pay in advance?
So actually, we have a pretty fun system because, you know, we try to take into account artists as they are right now, you know, or let's take a voice lesson, right? If a student comes, he usually has the money the day of because a lot of artists don't necessarily have that much cash on hand, and they just, you know, maybe they work a week job and then they just have the money that weekend or that Wednesday when they see their teacher. And so we didn't want to put that kind of restriction and say, oh, well, if you book somebody 2 weeks before, well, you have to put the money down. No, it's more that similar to like a Kickstarter model. In essence, you're pledging, you're saying, okay, well, I'm going to pay you, and I'm already sort of pledging that I'm going to do that. And then once I enter the what we call a cancellation window or the policies that you've set up with your service, then you're on the hook, right? Like, and we really tried to push that. We really like to incorporate that and make it very easy where, you know, if you cancel 12 hours before, well, if the policy of you know, you, for example, Stephen, you say, well, I'm sorry, if you're canceling last minute, I'm still going to get paid for that. That's my time. That's my effort. I've set aside that for you. And if you don't, if you're not there to fulfill that, that's on you. Now, we made sure that was a very easy process. And at the end of the day, if everything goes right, the money is only taken at the time of the session. So the session starts, you have a great, you know, hour of coaching, and boom, payment goes through. So that's actually when it happens.
And it also works for the benefit of the client as well, because I mean, how many times that, you know, they could have something happen on the other end and somehow get charged or something, but you guys can go into the app and you can see that a session never happened. Or you can ask the teacher or the person that was offering the service what happened. This didn't happen. They were unhappy, and the client's then not responsible if something did go wrong on the other person's part. Am I correct?
That's right. That's right. And that's really that's what we're trying to establish. Sorry, that's what we're trying to establish with our app, is to have a presence that's there backing both sides, right? It's not about like propping up either side and saying, well, okay, well, we need to protect X, but not the other, right? No, it's really about creating a very honest, transparent platform. Again, you've seen this in every other industry, and it's a given, right? Like if you think of Airbnb, there is no doubt that both sides are equally protected, whether it's the person offering up their home and making sure there's insurance in case something happens, as much as the guest, right, to make sure that the house that they're going into is safe and that they have at least a line, somebody to call if something goes wrong. And that's happened already. We've been live for 3 weeks. There's been, you know, a good dozen problems with payment, for example, and then we go in, we deal with that. We, you know, call the person up, figure out what went wrong, and literally 100% of the time, it's not a big deal. It's just because we're there, because we're talking, because we're somebody that can do it on behalf of the artist or on behalf of the student or the teacher, that immediately legitimizes, establishes a professionalism, which is, you know, frankly, what's missing in a lot of interactions in the arts. What we need is a professional space, because we're a business, because, you know, we need that kind of we need to be taken seriously at every end of the spectrum.
I mean, I taught a full studio of 50 people for almost 10 years, and I would lose hundreds of dollars a month in cancellations, in people not showing up. And, you know, the big thrust for our company, the mission of our company is to protect people for the services they give. You know, I have had so many instances where I didn't fight for myself as a professional, and it really screwed me. I mean, I lost $6,000 in a year. That is so much money, especially when you have student loans and you have expenses like voice lessons and all these things that we have to pay for anyway. So it's really important that we keep this professional atmosphere, and we have a whole other part to our app that we haven't released yet, which is the negotiation software, where you're actually going to be able to negotiate your rates, negotiate the dates of payment, writers, all of that stuff, and have this really easy 3-step process for negotiating your contracts. And so if you have a wedding contract coming up, someone can send you an offer, give you $1,000 offer. You can say, hey, I need $1,200 because it's 2.5 hours rather than the normal hour, and do it.
Wait, sorry to interrupt you, Ray. So this is also to recruit for performance. It's not just a teaching app, you're saying?
Oh yeah. This is, I mean,
okay.
When we say like you can do any creative service, we mean it. You can be a singer, you can be an actor, you can be a hairstylist, you can be a costume designer, you know, and
sorry to cut in, right? You can be all those things at the same time,
yes.
Right? We built our profile so that you don't have to say you don't have to limit yourself to one thing. If you go to my profile, you'll see I'm a church singer, so I have a very set rate for, you know, like singing gigs on Sundays. I'm a generic operatic tenor, where you can make me an offer and then we can negotiate, or you can hire me for 30 minutes to help you with your French diction, right? Those are very different ways of making money, different prices, different policies, different media, right? Like I might want to emphasize certain things about my resume or my photos for, you know, when I teach French diction, rather than as opposed to when I say that I'm a good tenor, right? Those are ultimately different professions, you might call them.
Yeah, and people can look at your profession in a different way. So like Sean just alluded to, I, as an operatic tenor, have my headshots, I have my action shots on the stage, all that stuff. But then when I go to voice teacher, I have pictures of my students or videos of them singing or all that stuff. So people can get an immediate idea. What does this person offer? What are the customized services I'm going to get from them right away?
And you know, and let's just be specific. I mean, when you look at the person, you can pretty much do anything on this app, right? You can, whatever you do, whether it's teaching, performing, you can offer all sorts of services. And the one thing I've liked about the app personally also is that it's a one-stop shop. Someone goes on, they book you, and then you just log back onto the app at the time that you're supposed to have the session, and you have the session within the app. I mean, it's an incredible product, and you would think that it's only going to happen during COVID, but you know what? After COVID, you can then open it up to more opportunities where you can actually meet the people in public. Why don't you talk a little bit about that at the moment?
That's the question, right? Can you meet people? Can you go over to their place for voice lessons? Can they come over for voice lessons? Does your app allow that?
Yeah, so right out the gate, we wanted it to be as seamless as possible for how people offered their services. So, you know, you can set up your card to offer only in-person services, so you're only going to have a lesson at your home, or you can set it up to be both. And so when someone goes to book you, they have the option. Do I want to book this person online, or do I want to book them in person? Maybe your teacher is in Europe for the time being, right? So you're not going to have an in-person lesson. So you can just go onto the app, book them for an online lesson. We have a whole video system built in, so you don't have to go outside of the platform if you don't want to, though you can if you want to. So it really is like, it doesn't matter. If you want to do it virtually, if you want to do it in person, you can do it. You have full control as a professional over your services. And it was very frustrating for me going up as a singer, and I never reached the goals that, you know, of you guys, but it was very frustrating that I couldn't show who I was and act the way I needed to make money. It was so frustrating. And that's...
Hold on, Ray. No, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but this is a good comment from our friend Michael Chioldi, who says, "I often find it difficult asking for money from students when they cancel. Even when you have a set cancellation policy, it always feels awkward." I mean, he's got a point. It's rough, and can you, as a teacher? So I've had this issue when I was teaching as well, that I've kind of had to. There's usually a 24-hour cancellation policy, and the reason being, of course, that you can't really like throw someone in there with less time, and then you lose that time you've saved it for them. Is there a way to, for instance, override that in your app?
Yeah.
Right? So I've had a situation where one of my students was very young, or there's one instance where I'm, as Stephen knows, I'm a dog person. I'm obsessed with my dog, and my student's dog was hit by a car. He's okay. He's great. He's wonderful now. I know people get worked up about that, but you have he got hit. I can't live with myself charging for him because he didn't. I'm not doing that. So do you provide the opportunity to sort of override that and say, no, it's fine this time. Go next time.
You have full flexibility. You can, if you want to give your student a break, you can do that. It's really easy. It's 2 button presses. Cancel, reason for cancellation. I know that your dog got hit by a car. Don't worry about paying me. This is much more important. Take care of your dog. You can send that message, and then they get a text message. They get an email. Like I said, like you have complete flexibility over your own behavior. We know that. I did that all the time. There are so many times where you're going to give your students a break, right? You want to give them a break if they're having a hard time with life. Yeah. Another thing you can do is, hey, maybe your rate is $100 an hour right now, but if you want to give your student a break and give them a 50% discount or an 80% discount because of the times, you can just write that in whenever they book. You say, hey, don't worry about it this time. Just pay me $20.
Well, that's what I love about the app, is the fact that you can override those aspects, and the fact that when they sign up for it, if it's people you don't know and they sign up for it, they know the outline. They know what the cancellation policy is. They know what's going to happen if they cancel at the last minute. But they also have the flexibility. Like as a teacher, every teacher has a special student that is extremely gifted and has a lot of potential and may not have the funds to take lessons and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But they still want to be involved. And you, as a teacher that have been blessed with many things, you make it a policy to try to help that student as much as possible. If they can't afford it, you're able to override all of those things. Yeah. But for the people that you don't know and the people that you've never worked with, you absolutely have an outline of what they should expect, and in terms of structure, policy, and also what you do and what to expect out of a session. It's a really incrable app.
And you have a record. You have a record.
Can I interject just because, and we can say that this should be offline conversation. What is the percentage for your residents that is taken for you guys?
What do you mean the percentage?
The transaction.
I mean, I'm assuming you take something.
So that's a really interesting question. So for comparable platforms, let's say like Take Lessons or Wyzant, these are like just booking platforms where you have a teacher and student relationship. They take anything from 60 to 25% as a service fee. We, as a platform, will never take more than 6%.
6? That's it?
Yeah, 6%. Because let's be honest for a second. Let's be honest. And I know it's kind of ridiculous, but let's be honest for a second. We want this to be the place that creative things happen. We want this to be an indispensable part of your work. And if you charge someone 20% of their income, they're going to look for any reason to get off of that platform, first of all, right? Second of all, our technology is not just about the services that people offer, but the network of professionals that are on it, right? We want to foster connections, foster more work. So how do we do that? Okay, we could definitely charge $20 a month. I mean, I was looking for my daughter. We were looking for nanny services on an app. It was $40 a month subscription just to look at nannies in my area, right? And that business model is how soon can I get off of this app, right? Mm-hmm. But like I said, we want this to be the app where it all happens. everything. So
I just want to say that.
fee.
Yeah, you've actually single-handedly destroyed the local music school market. But you know what? I'm sorry. It's kind of the idea with ATMs, right? ATMs helped so many people, that they didn't have to walk into banks. Well, sorry that those people are out of a job. What is the proportion of people who need to go to an ATM versus like tellers? But interestingly enough, that people still do want to go into banks. So people still do want to go to a building so I don't think it's that much of a disruption of the market.
I don't either.
So
I
gotta say, Ray, good for you, man. Really, it's really good for you.
Yeah, they go to those schools for the community. We actually have a whole other portion planned of development that's going to help those institutions manage their business, music schools, opera companies, performing arts companies, arts organizations. That's all on the docket because they have a lot of costs that could be solved by powerful technology as well. And so we know that we can help them too. And if that happens, maybe they don't have to take 25 to 50% of someone's income because their costs are so much lower. That's why, we call Resonance, it's a platform. It's not just a booking app. It's a platform where you do all of your business and you connect with your friends and your colleagues, your students, manage it so that you can focus on what really matters, which is the art, which is the moment of creation, which makes life worth living, right? That's what we're here to do. I honestly, you don't want to deal 7 hours of scheduling a week, which is what I did when I had 50 students. I would take 7 hours a week and work on it. But with Resonance, someone books you, goes immediately into your schedule, and that's it. You don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And what can we do for institutions? Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, again, it's about, Stephen, you were talking about making it easier to have that to establish a baseline of what's expected when you hire somebody. I mean, again, when I think of what a contract is, it doesn't, just because there's a contract doesn't mean it's going to make the relationship more difficult or people are going to be just always looking back on what was written. No, the reason you go into a contract with somebody is so that you establish basically a transparent expectation of what's going to happen. And then on top of that, you're free to do whatever you want, right? You're free to have a comfortable and natural exchange transaction, a teacher to student, artist to director, because now you've both agreed on what is expected. And that really is something that, it goes through the company, like through everything that we've done. We want to establish a foundation for how people interact in the arts so that it is easier to, like Ray was saying, actually do what you're good at, right? It sucks when you have to worry about the day-to-day little nitty-gritty stuff, and then a relationship is soured because there was a miscommunication or because somebody didn't actually feel incentivized to actually follow through with paying up for a lesson.
And oftentimes those things happen not because of malice. It just happens because everyone is dealing with that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. They're dealing with the minutia in their lives. So I would have countless students come to me and like, oh, shoot, I forgot my checkbook, or, oh, shoot, I forgot and they really did forget. And of course, it's really frustrating that they did that. But what we do is just take that away, right? Let's take that away. And I totally agree with Michael Chioldi. I hate scheduling. I hated it.
So that was my question. Like, how does your app assist with respect to scheduling, Michael? Thank you for your questions, Michael. It's very helpful, by the way.
Michael's the best.
Yeah, he's great. He's a great singer too.
So basically, when a professional sets up their profession card, we call them profession cards. These are the everything that has to do with a particular service is called a profession card. You can set up a recurring schedule, which then when people come to your profile, they can see specific slots. If you've ever used ZocDoc, or if you've ever booked on Airbnb, you know what it's like. I'm going to have this slot to this time to this time. And you book that. When you accept the booking as a service professional, that's another thing that's really important is when someone books you, you don't have to accept. You can decline them, right? If you accept the booking, that booking is then transferred automatically into your iCalendar or your Google Calendar. Just stock. It just happens right away. So you don't have to then go, oh, okay, I'm going to look on the app and then I'm going to write down in my Google Calendar this time, this location. And it's not just, the time and place, it's the location. We give you a reminder, so that you get a reminder 10 minutes before. You get a reminder to hit the get paid button so that you get paid for the session. And
Video.
I mean, this is easy stuff. This is not like rocket science technology.
Mhm.
They've solved this in other places really easily. Why don't we have that? It's so crazy. Why didn't we do that?
Yeah.
So we said, let's do it. So that's how it solves the scheduling aspect.
Where do you where do you see the end goal for? Where do you want to be? What is it that you think you'll be able to do? Do you think in the future residents you can book tickets to events via residents, or what do you think? Where else do you see it going in the future?
Oh, I overplay our hand here. Not to sound haughty, but our goal at Resonance is to facilitate every interaction in the creative economy. So if you need tickets to your kids' recital, or you need to book a venue for your kids' recital, if you want to book a practice room and you don't know where practice rooms are in your area, if you want to, get hired for a specific kind of contract, if you want to know how much you should charge in a specific area for a specific type of service, we want to provide that information to you. So, we're going to have all of this data on our users. Of course, it's all protected and we don't know exactly who they are. We just know general things about them. We're going to have this data and we're going to be able to make it valuable to our user base, right? If you're an up and coming tenor and you are living in a specific city, what if you could have the opportunity to know who the top teachers in your area are that teach specific types of skills, or what kind of church jobs are available and what do they pay, or what should you negotiate to be paid for? It's that kind of teaching people how to have a career in a specific service. And we want to do that for every kind. On top of that,
I'll cut in, Ray. I'll say that kind of goes back to why we did this in the first place. Ray and I both have masters, right? And I'm not really bashing on my school, but I don't remember really having a class on how to run my business, like my own brand. It was mostly focused on the art making, and that's fine. It's the most important part in many ways. But there wasn't really a resource out there outside of just cobbling it together from different people's opinions or articles I read. There wasn't really a resource out there that helped me become a better professional. And that's also a really big ambition, right? We have plans to help people and coach people on how to be better artists and fight for, the price that they think that they really are worth, or, position themselves in a way that makes sense. Okay, very basic thing that we did stock in the app. When you create a profession card, which is where you offer your service, we encourage you, in fact, we force you to say exactly what you specialize in, right? It's not just like, oh, I'm an opera singer and I do 1,000 different things. No, you have to pick 3 things that you're really good at. And then you can say what else you're good at. But that way you're forced to really think about, okay, what is it that I'm bringing to the market? What's the value that I bring? How can I quantify exactly what I'm good at? That way, when people are looking for me and they come across me, I'm not just a generic person, right? I actually have very specific skills. I've been endorsed for those skills. I've been recognized for that specific thing that I'm good at. And I can work on that. If I see people like that, I can, inform my own career, my own choices.
Only that, think of yourself as a performing arts institution that's looking for very specific kinds of performing professional. What if you can go into a search bar and say, Wagnerian tenor in Los Angeles and New York? And then in 3 seconds, you know exactly who has those specific specializations, not only from their skills, but from their experience, which is fully searchable too. I mean, we didn't talk about this yet, but
do you think you're going to circumvent managers? Do you think this app will circumvent managers? Because we sign contracts. I'm just saying we sign contracts that say, like, even if I get look, Ray, if you decided, and by the way, I was going to say, you tell your brother to give me a call because I miss his sorry ass, but that's a different story. Number two, the other thing I was going to say, by the way, his brother's also a tenor, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
So
But
many
I was going to
tenors.
say, like, yeah, I know you stupid tenors. I'm surrounded by them. I don't have a choice. But like, if Ray, you suddenly came in, you won the lottery. You're like, I want to start. I want to win. I want to rather put on the Ninth Symphony. Gideon, I want you to be my bass baritone. Is that like? Are you looking to circumvent managers? Like, are you looking to be like, well, come through us? Or
I will say
are
one
you
thing. I will say
or are
one
you
thing
looking
before
to
I say anything
circumvent,
more.
for instance, Yap Tracker, for example?
I will say
which
one
I
thing
wouldn't
before
mind.
I say anything
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
98% of working professionals have no management. None. They don't have it. So I am definitely fulfilling a need for them. Let's say that. Now, when you guys reach your guys' level, of course, you are going to need something more, right? You're going to need counsel and specific, intricate knowledge of what you need to offer as a professional. And then there's the whole relationship thing. But guys, let's be real here. That's like 3,000 people in the world. There
In our
are
market?
8 million artists in America alone that have nothing like that, right? So do I think that it's circumventing it? No. For the top tier, they're always going to need things like that. But for every other working stiff that doesn't have the money, time, or vision, the visibility, yes, I think that we can provide that service very easily for them.
Sean, you mentioned something great, and I have the same issue. When I was in undergrad, they didn't teach you how to run your business as a musician. I took a business and music course, but talked mostly about the record industry, and which by the time I graduated, EVA was pretty much extinct because we all went to streaming and all that other stuff. But it's true. They don't teach you in undergrad how to run your business as an opera singer, as a music professional, as a soloist in general. Or they don't teach you how to do that. They don't teach you how to manage things. They don't teach you how to manage time. They don't teach you how to manage finance. They don't teach you how to search for management. They don't teach you how to specialize yourself. They don't teach you any of that. And that's what this app is the best at, I think, besides teaching lessons and coachings and things like that. It's the fact that you get to reach out to career professionals that are out there doing it. And you can ask them, how do I get from point A to point B? You can even arrange a time and says, hey, man, you're working all over the world. You've got contracts out your asshole. How do I manage taxes? How do I manage building a business profile?
Which we also manage, by the way. I just had to throw that in there. We also manage all your taxes.
No, but I'm just saying you have the options to ask someone how to set up their business platform, which is great. It's a fantastic thing. But before we move on, we also have to address the fact that it's not just for singers. We talk a lot about singers on the show because we're all singers here. It's for instrumentalists as well. It's also for administrative professionals that want to offer career advice to other musicians. It's pretty much, if you're in the arts industry and you have a craft of any sort, you can be on the app and offering your services for a fee. And I think it's an incredible thing. I think the app's great. I hope you guys have a big success with the app. I hope it takes off.
You.
It really is a great thing, and hopefully we can get Gideon on it this week.
Yes.
Yeah. But put you on the spot. But let's
There's yourresidence.com, by the way.
Can you guys stay for a little bit? Do you have to go?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was
Let's
talk about flat Earth
and let's
theory.
talk about the news.
Should we move on to Do We Give a Shit?
Yes. Okay. So our favorite segment, Do We Give a Shit? That's right. In which we discuss all the news of the week. Well, not all of it, but maybe some of it. And we discuss whether or not we actually give a shit about these kinds of things. So here's a big kind of thing. So I knew Ray was going to enjoy this because Ray and I, by the way, worked together in 2015. We did a Bohem together. So that was a nice surprise today. When Steve was like, hey, this guy Ray and Sean are coming on the show. Steven handles the guest, by the way. And I said, Ray, Raymond. Yeah, I know him really well. Okay, so here's sort of a big story that has splashed across the classical world today. And that is Mr. Tomasini, of course, Anthony Tomasini, the great New York Times reviewer, who says to make orchestras more diverse and blind auditions. Now, just so we have full disclosure here, Steven's wife is an instrumentalist as well. There are a lot of opinions about this. Ray, what do you think? Will ending blind
obese person
just more diverse, rather? What's that?
As a beautifully obese person, of course, that would help me a lot in the audition market. But I think that, if this is something to care about for sure. We should give a shit about something like this. I think that it will inevitably lead to more problems than it solves. I think that there are issues that need to be fixed underneath. Like, why aren't underprivileged, minority people, training more or having the opportunities to train in, the classical music tradition? That's a problem that we should start talking about. Why is that? What's the problem with the access to that knowledge base? If a kid in the projects wants to become an operatic singer, he has, shout out to Art Smart, Michael Fabiano's Art Smart, maybe he doesn't have a lot of money. So what's he going to do? We need to fix those problems, the access that these people have to the knowledge base. I think that technology solves this in a lot of ways. Maybe resonance will be a way that can be solved. There's definitely a problem with representation in our art form, but I don't think that this is the way to solve it at all. Especially for orchestral musicians. I mean, come on, they are, amazing musicians, and it should be merit-based, whether they get a job or not. I really believe that. And
I remember, for me, the reason this is such a big story is that, I don't know, was it 10 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, the very same New York Times said that finally, we're doing blind auditions so that we can allow, women, for example. I remember, I think it's Malcolm Gladwell who wrote this book called Blink.
Yes,
he wrote Blink,
right.
and he talks about this great story. I forget the name. I think she was a trombonist, but basically, they were doing blind auditions for this orchestra, and this woman basically blows the competition away, and they don't know it's a woman, right? Because it's a blind audition. And when they realize that it was a woman, they're like, oh no, then we can't hire her because she's a woman. And then they make her do a bunch of tests, and it turns out like her breath capacity is like 5 times that of a normal. Anyways, just a bunch of stuff that for me reinforced this idea that if you're going for merit and you're going for the point of that endeavor was to say it doesn't matter who you are. All that matters is, are you a good player? Is your sound actually good? And so it's interesting at the very least, and I think we, to answer your question, we should give a shit. It is interesting to see this reversal, even though the intent was the same, which was have a more diverse outcome. And now there's these like conflicting ways.
And it's so funny because like 3 months ago, I remember reading in all the forums that we should introduce blind auditions for singers, which is a whole other bottle.
It's funny you mentioned that, because there is a reversal, and that is that this article from The Guardian is from 2013 about how blind auditions have helped orchestras. Is essentially and this is the one quoted from Malcolm Gladwell. I'm just excited to hear somebody who knows who Malcolm Gladwell is. But in any event, that women in particular are happy with blind auditions, and that because orchestras used to be something like 7% women, and the New York Phil in particular is now about half. Yeah, that's a big deal.
Because it actually is. I mean, if you strip that away, well, the truth reveals itself, right? That it is actually the diversity comes about naturally, right? And so, I would be worried that it would be taking a step back in some ways.
We touched about this a little bit last show with Morris Robinson, and taking away the blind audition, it only opens it up to ageism, sexism, racism. You open up to more problems than you deal with. And when you do a blind audition, it's completely fair when you're looking for the best talent that there is. Now, when you have a house like the Metropolitan Opera, the blind audition is the way you want to go, because you only want the top players there, because the stress level that those instrumentalists have to deal with, the schedule they have to deal with, and the shift in repertoire and the broad technical basis of playing in that orchestra is intense. So you want the best players in that group. That's what the blind audition does. However, if you want to talk about the systemic racist problem that we have, it goes way back to our governments, our mayors, our governors, and cutting the arts programs in inner city schools and public schools. When you have those
or creating the inner cities in the first place.
Well, that's the problem. So when you have a bunch of kids that are going.
Oh, I was worried Ray was going to get in there like that.
Well, when kids no longer have access to instruments, have no longer access to exposure to classical music, as soon as they get out of high school, they're already 10 years behind because most of them cannot afford to have private lessons and or even find their own instrument. So you have to fix that problem to create the diversity up top in an orchestra like the Met. You have to fix that problem. You have to encourage music. And I think, and I said this a few weeks back too, I think opera houses in the cities need to do more community outreach, meaning that maybe try to find ways for their instrumentalists or their singers that are there to donate their time and give a few free lessons a month to students in the area that may be interested in classical music. And I feel it's important because in a time like this where you want the government to help keep these arts organizations open, those arts organizations that want the government money should also find time to give back to their communities as well.
Another thing that you have to worry about if you institute a policy like ending blind auditions or something like that is, what if the people in charge are racists?
It's got a point, and that's
what if they're racist?
This study, and this is the study. Well, this is the study that came out afterwards, and Robbie Suave, who I actually like this writer, he makes a point about the big problem with these sort of studies is this right over here: replicability problems, right? And that is that we can't sort of recreate the conditions under which, like, this particular adjudicator is judging an orchestra or judging a player. You can't sort of recreate that because they're so few and far between, right? So we need a new second violinist, right? Okay, fine. So you can't really recreate those conditions and then okay, I picked this player. Okay, well now we're gonna do the same thing but with black players, with Hispanic players, whatever the case may be, and that's really the problem, is that it's not really scientific. However, women do feel that in general, and whether or not it's true or not, that's hard to really determine scientifically, but that they do feel that the blind audition has helped them. So that has some value in and of itself.
I think it absolutely has, because it's impossible for human beings to be completely unbiased. It is impossible. We should work as hard as we can to move ourselves forward and open our minds and open our horizons. But, human beings have limitations about how they think, and they might not even be aware of their biases.
Absolutely. Maybe Tomasini should write an article on the lack of diversity in the New York Times classical critic section.
I'd love that.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, really, let's be honest. All men, all white men. There's no diversity in that classical critic section. Right. Come on, let's. If they want to make a change, for that, Stephen. If you want to make a change, start with your, start where you work. Don't wait for other people to do it. Start your life that way.
And these people, if you don't know who they are, what they are, and listen to what they bring. I mean, you're going to have amazing musicality from some kids from the projects that grew up in a horrible situation and then broke every barrier and became a star in whatever they're doing. And that is what we want to hear. That's what makes it so amazing to listen to when you're listening to their voice, because you hear something about where they came from. And we want that kind of diversity in creation of art, right? That's what makes it amazing. We need that.
Look, when you're given a gift, given a responsibility, and you're given a lot of things in life, your responsibility is to give back to those who can. And that's what we need to do as a community. When we're working with these houses, we need to go around that. We need to make ourselves available for people that want to do what we're doing but don't have the means to do it. So in essence, yes, we all give a shit. They should not get rid of the blind audition, and let's keep going.
Okay. Well, let's change gears in a major way here. Okay. So let's see if I can find this story here. Where is the story? Oh man, you see, Steven is just so wonderful, but he's often erratic. I never know like if he's going to take 10 seconds to finish talking about something or like 3 minutes.
No, I just watched the Gideon. I watched the clock. I watched the little timer in the corner, and I'm just.
I know, but sometimes like I don't even know. But okay, here's the thing. Ready? You ready? Here it is. Okay, so this couple decided that this would be a great idea. They're going to wear a swastika face mask at a Walmart in Minnesota, right? And I call this story Swastika Masks. That ain't it, Chief. And here's the pull quote. It says, if you vote for Biden, and now they weren't advocating Nazism. They were simply suggesting that wearing a mask and the mask requirement is like Nazism. It says, if you vote for Biden, you're going to be living in Nazi Germany. That's what it's going to be like. This is what I say. This was the rant that I was gonna make while Steven's internet was kaput. But what I'll say is this very quickly. Okay, I'm the proud grandson of Holocaust survivors. Stop with the fucking Nazi analogies. Just stop. There is nothing in modern politics that is like Nazism. Nothing. Just stop. It's offensive as shit. You are devaluing the unique, not better, not worse, but different horror of the Holocaust with your stupid analogies to score points on an imaginary scoreboard to make that sick burn on your friend's mother on your Facebook post. Just stop it. There's nothing like it, and that's okay. Shit can be bad too. That's fine. That's fine. You can say that's terrible. You can say this is not right. That's absolutely fine. But not everything is Hitler. And when you do that, you inadvertently, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, so you inadvertently aid in Holocaust denial. And the reason why you are doing that is because then people who are way less well-intentioned than you point to that and say, oh, that's not so bad. I mean, that's just, you have to wear a mask. That's not so bad. Is that what Nazism was? That doesn't sound so bad. So I give a shit about the story. Knock it off. Sean, what do you think?
So this was like, this is the segment where it's a very easy show, no controversial topics. This is great. I love it. I mean, what can I say? It's I completely agree with you that words matter, right? And if you're going to make comparisons, you have to back it up, and it has to actually, you have to follow through with what you're saying. It's funny because for me personally, I think both things, right? Words are, don't matter in a sense because, there are things that are way worse than words. And it's a good thing that we exchange words rather than physical violence, right? Words are always better. But, and so in that sense, they don't matter as much as something like physical violence. But they also really do matter. If you're going to make a statement like that, you have to be consistent. And I think what you're really pointing out is that it's just not being consistent. You can't call out somebody for being a Nazi like that because you're right. It does devalue where that came from. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. It's just factually wrong. That's it. At the end of the day.
Yeah, we don't. And when it comes, what are people going to say it is then?
Right. That's
what are they
the
going to
point.
say it is?
Well, okay. I'll give
we have to think like 20 years ahead. When this Nazi means nothing anymore because you said someone, and it's ridiculous. Don't wear a swastika.
I'll give the benefit. I'll give the devil's advocate because I love to do that, right? Like, probably the counter argument is to say, well, we're just trying to raise some red flags here, or we're just trying to
literally
people before it gets any worse. And I guess the way to attract attention is to be sensationalist. It's to say things that are shocking. Our media is a great example of that. They're, shocking things attract attention. And at the very least, the story that you picked up was picked up for a reason, and now we're talking about it. So
it's money. They
accomplished what they wanted.
They get clicks. They get clicks for this kind of stuff.
I agree 100%. I think it needs to stop. I think, look, there's still Holocaust survivors out there that have been through too much to comparing what we're doing now as compared to Nazism, it's not fair. It's disgusting. I talked to you, Gideon, about having a conversation with someone comparing COVID-19 to the Holocaust, which I also think is atrocious. I think that it needs to stop. It really needs to stop. Things are bad, but come on, they're not as bad as they were in the Holocaust. Give it a rest already. It's too much. It's insulting. It's very anti-Semitic, and it's bullshit. I think.
Yeah. I like stand on. This is what I'll say. Look, I don't like to pull this card. When I was growing up, this is what I'll say, and I'm gonna make myself solo for a change here. I never do this, but I'll say this. When I was growing up, my mom taught me that the worst thing you could ever call somebody is a Nazi. She was the daughter of my grandfather who was in a labor camp. It's the worst thing that you could ever call somebody. You save that card for when it really, 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 really matters. And asking people to wear a mask or whatever else the case may be, save it. Just save it. You're not helping. It doesn't make me feel good as a descendant of a Holocaust survivor. It doesn't. Just fucking knock it off. However,
it doesn't help you.
No, it doesn't help anybody.
No one's going to go on your side.
It's just to score points on an imaginary scoreboard that nobody cares about. But I'll tell you what does matter. That this guy got off. Former concentration camp guard, 93. And this is Mr. Bruno Day. They decided to let him off. He was a prison guard. And I'd never heard of this. It's pretty sad. I'm getting a doctorate in this, and I actually literally have never heard of the Stutthof concentration camp. Thank you. I'm learning about new concentration camps every day. Wonderful. Mr. Bruno Day got 2-year suspended prison sentence. That's too bad. It's really too bad. He's they knew what they were doing. And here's the pull quote that I have from this thing. This is try not to lose your lunch over this, but he says he also claimed he wasn't aware of the quote extent of the atrocities until his trial, despite acknowledging that he knew of gas chambers and seeing emaciated figures. Okay, so this is a prison guard in Stutthof, right? Well, how does that work, really? Well, I was okay with like 2,500 Jews being slaughtered, but I draw my line at about 3,000. Apparently, over 5,000 were killed, but at the same time, he is 93 years old. I mean, are we going to put him in a prison, for being a lowly guard when he was 17 years old?
Yes.
I don't know. That's tough.
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
I mean shit. Come on now. If we're gonna fucking lock up people for smoking marijuana, you're gonna fucking lock him up for being a Nazi and participating in the Holocaust. Let's be realistic.
Well, the reason why he got off is actually because it was considered juvenile court because he was only 17 when it happened. He was a guard at 17. That's where they're coming in.
Yeah, I knew a lot more at 17 than I do now. Let me tell you that.
That's kind of the theme is a lot of those people got off and it's despicable. I don't want to say Operation Paperclip, but I just did. So go read about that. If you want to really get angry about how.
Think of the company, Ray. Think of the company.
But you know what? There is a good thing, and this I like to call this because I'm a video gamer. I confess. Achievement unlocked. Wins at life. That's right. This feisty Jewish war hero survived Nazi assassination, plane crash, cancer, and now coronavirus. Holy shit.
They need to make a medal for that.
Hero. This guy is such a hero. I mean, I thought my mother had friends who survived coronavirus over 80. They're both type 1 diabetics, and they just took Tylenol, and they're fine. It's wonderful. But this guy, 99, survived a Nazi assassination attempt, a plane crash, cancer, and now he beat coronavirus. I kind of love this guy.
He's like the Rasputin. He's like Rasputin, right?
Yeah.
He just never.
The Jewish Rasputin.
Yeah. Because we found that guy, we're going to have the vaccine because we're all going to have his antibodies.
Exactly.
You need to reproduce those.
He's the actual Chuck Norris of life.
Oh my God.
He is the actual Chuck. That's a really good way to put it. Hold on. So since we're all music nerds here, I'm going to do this really quickly. I think this is a very, 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 very cool thing. So Steve and I have talked about this guy. Apparently, this guy he's a digital artist, and what he does is he makes 3D renderings of composers based on their paintings. So he's made a few more. So here's Brahms that he made. Right.
Wow.
So these are 3D renderings of Brahms. That's very cool. He's gone on and now he's made, this is of course Chopin, which is, I think is very, very cool.
So what is he just taking paintings?
He's taking paintings and he's making it into a 3D renderings. Which I think is just tremendous. And I think he did one more. Yes, he did, of course, the great Franz Schubert, who died at what, 27, 28, or 31, excuse me. Still, I mean, these are really cool. I'm so proud of you guys for doing this, your Resonance app during, I'm so proud of everyone who's still creating during this pandemic. You guys did this amazing app that we talked about, and this guy's still doing it, and that's why every week I'm trying to put out performances of people who are still doing stuff during this thing, and that was the performance that we started with our show today. But this is some amazing work. What do you guys think of this?
It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it makes me so excited about what's coming. Maybe one day we're gonna sit in a room with this guy and talk to him. That's I'm really.
If he gets on our show, I'll have to give him
exactly.
I don't know. I mean, if you read the news, we're all dying of COVID, so I don't see myself sitting in a room with either of you guys for the next.
He can just be Schubert can just be in the middle right here, just kind of like hanging out with us.
Yeah. No,
AI Schubert.
I think it's awesome. It's an awesome idea. It's an awesome technique that he's doing there. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And our last story is that New York tailors are also adapting to the COVID pandemic by knowing that everyone got fat.
Yes.
That's right. They are loosening everything because they are accounting for an average of about 15-pound weight gain. They call it the quarantine 15. I just want to go on the record
15.
Yes, I just want to go on the record of saying I lost 10 pounds during the quarantine. Thank you, Jewish paranoia and neuroses. I lost.
It's like that other story. Did you read the story out of Venice? How they lowered the number of people in the gondola from 6 to 5 because people have gotten fat over the quarantine? Because all the tourists are now fat. Did you read that?
No, why didn't you send me that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Excellent.
I think I stayed about the same. So that's good.
Okay, Sean.
Which is really big, but you do what you can.
Can you stop making
How are
noise?
you faring during this quarantine?
What's that?
Sean, how are you faring during this quarantine?
Fine. What I keep telling people is that my wife and I, we actually bought a small house upstate in Danbury, which was, and we closed on it maybe like 2 weeks before everything fell apart. We used to live in a tiny 400 square foot apartment in New York in the city. And that would have been, and I know that I'm sure some people have had to deal with that. And my heart goes out to you if you spend 6 months in 400 square feet with your partner. And if you've made it, you made it. That's great. This is more space than I've ever seen in my life as a New Yorker, and I don't even know what to fill it with. So that I'm very happy about that. And in terms of the quarantine 15, I think I'm okay actually. I've been doing intermittent fasting. Honestly, partly out of necessity, just because we've been doing crazy like 18-hour days. And we just get up and we start working, and I just forget to eat. And so now I'm in this fasting thing. I just kind of adapted my work life.
You look great,
fasting.
Sean.
Yes,
you look great.
I actually have 2 more stories that I wanted your guys' credit card. So Ray, I know Ray is a sports fan, and I know Steven is a sports fan. So have you seen? What's that?
Ray, you're a sports fan?
Yeah.
Am I? Okay. Well, let's see.
Is that your brother? Okay. Well, I know Steven is.
Might be my brother. But let's see.
So you guys know that Major League Baseball is back, right?
Kind
so
of.
they have decided to, when extra innings start, to start a runner at second base, right? Because they want these things to change. Now, so I did some research. I'm a big sports fan. I apologize if this is boring the shit out of everyone, but so here we go. So apparently I crunched some numbers. Only in at least in the last 7 years, 7% of games go to extra innings. 44% of the games that go to extra innings end after the 10th inning. 82% end by the 12th inning, and only 5% go to the 15th inning or longer. Is this thing unnecessary? They want to make the games shorter, but is this an unnecessary and dramatic change, Steven?
Yeah, it's really kind of unnecessary. I think if you want to make the game shorter, just don't add extra innings, because it just seems irrelevant. I think it gives the team. I mean, are they doing a coin toss? I guess at the end, or do they still do it the same way they were doing the rest of the game? How do they do it?
Everything is the same. But what happens is when this 10th inning starts, the next batter.
Yeah, but do both teams get their at bats with someone on second base?
Yes.
And what's the point?
The point is that it might be easier to score a run if he's already starting at second, and then so you don't like it. And
of course, it's easier to score a run if someone's starting at second.
Right. Okay. But then they figure if you got a runner at second, you can score a run. Then it might be harder for the next guy to score a run. That's the mentality.
That's stupid. It's just the whole thing is fun.
Oh, okay. So we don't like that.
No.
What do you think, Sean?
He's French. Don't ask him those questions.
Baseball. That's the one with the basket, right?
Yes, it's the basket. All right, so here's the last story of the day, right? So we all know that that politics is very contentious. So we don't like to we don't like to talk about these kinds of things, right? However, we do, since we have the objective ears as musicians. Do we think that the Al Jazeera reporter Kimberly Halkett actually called Kayleigh McEnany a lying bitch? And I want you guys to listen to this and tell me if you think that she called her in the press conference a lying bitch, okay? So we're going to use our super musical ears to determine this. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Yes, we're ready. Okay, here we go.
71
Okay, so you guys ready? So here's a press conference. Okay, so let me fast forward over here.
Why you talk over?
Okay, ready? Listen now.
Yes.
Listen now.
For you to read the op-ed. Yes.
On the China vaccine research, this is
Yes.
very
You've done 2
important.
questions,
Russia
which
has
is more than
given
some of your colleagues. Yes.
Thank you, Kayleigh.
Okay, no mind.
Did you hear that? Listen one again. She points over. The line is, I think you're a lying bitch. Listen again closely.
No mind.
Oh, wait, I did it too soon. Here we go again.
Colleagues. Yes.
Thank you, Kayleigh.
Okay, no mind.
Did you hear that? Right? Did you hear that?
I did hear it.
Yeah,
I actually did hear it.
it's not that person though, is it? It's someone else.
Yes. No. It's not this. It's not. This is Kayleigh McEnany, but it's the person asking the question. Here, one more time. Ready?
More than some of your colleagues. Yes.
Thank you, Kayleigh.
Okay, no mind.
Ah.
Yes,
Oh,
definitely.
yes, definitely said it. Somebody definitely
You
said
think
it.
she said, I think you're a lying bitch. Do you think she said it?
No,
Yes, for
no.
sure.
I thought
For
she said, "Okay, you're a lying bitch." Anyway, we definitely,
Okay. All right. Okay, you're a lying bitch. Okay.
we definitely heard her call her a bitch. But I'll tell you,
Okay.
I'll tell you what. I don't give a shit because you know what? I feel like if someone's gonna call someone a bitch, you fucking go out there, balls to the wall, and you do it.
At least she's honest.
And she probably was.
If you're gonna do it to someone, be honest. If you're gonna take criticism, do it.
Right. But here's the thing. Kimberly Halkett says, I did not call her lying bitch. I said, okay, you don't want to engage. Okay?
What?
So let's listen one more time. Hold on.
She had
Let's
somebody
listen
like
one more
she
time.
had like a,
Hold on. Let's listen one more time. Okay, you don't want to engage. Okay, ready?
Questions, which is more than some of your colleagues. Yes.
Thank you, Kayleigh.
Okay, no mind.
Ah.
Oh,
Oh, one more time. Ready?
oh my
this is
God.
like the blue gold
Which is more
dress,
than some
right?
of
The
your
white.
colleagues. Yes.
Thank you, Kayleigh.
Okay, no mind.
Ah.
No, I'm
Yeah.
still
What do
I'm
we
still there.
think?
I'm still there.
What do we think? Did she call her a lying bitch, or did she say, "Okay, you don't want to engage"?
Is the dress white or gold or blue? What is it?
Laurel and yeah. So this is what I'll say. Is like when I was a little kid, right? And I'd say fuck or something. I'd be like, no, I said foot. You know what I mean? And it's really awkward, right?
Yeah.
But somebody asked her, like, did you call her language? She said, no. Okay, I don't want to engage. Right? That's kind of hard to make up. You know what I mean? Like, what did she think? Okay, what sounds like, okay, you're a lying bitch. Okay, I don't want to engage. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of hard to make up, but at the same time, I totally hear, okay, you're a lying bitch.
You know what the worst part about all this is the fact that everyone's going crazy over what did she really say to her? What did she really say? Did she really call her a bitch? Yet they've called her a lot worse in the media in the past.
Yeah.
In a White House press briefing, that's kind of a big deal. That she's just like, okay, you're a lying bitch.
That's what I mean.
Okay, you want to engage.
If you're going to do it, do it. Stand up, do it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the next
Right, what do you
Dabi
think?
and Costello should be you guys slowing it down.
I think Audacity has like a parsing software.
Yeah.
Where you can just,
They have that too. Anyway, thank you guys.
Thanks, guys, for joining us today. This has been our longest show yet.
Absolute pleasure. Hope to do it again sometime.
And
Yes,
remember,
absolutely.
And remember, guys, first sign up if you're in the arts profession, you want a platform, you want to sell your services, you want to offer a service. Sign up for your residence is what it is. Right?
The banner underneath. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and sign up, join up. You'll deal with these two guys. They're awesome. You'll enjoy it.
Totally
Gideon,
free. Totally free to download and use.
Absolutely. Gideon, good to see you, man. And we'll be back next week, same time, same place, different show.
Absolutely.
All right,
Thank you,
guys.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great
take care,
night.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.